do what you want. You don't even have to come on if your manager wants you to come on, and you can do a big interview with Piers Morgan because you're a special player. But these Brazilian players that you might know too well, and the manager's getting involved, that's a disgrace.
There is some talk that Ronaldo might not even start. Portuguese manager suggesting that he wasn't happy with his reaction to being substituted.
That's not very professional. I thought he was a top pro. I thought he was a top pro.
This is it.
Roy Keane's told me this.
Japan fall on their swords, Brazil dish out a samba beating, and the men from Morocco hope today could be the beginning of a beautiful journey in the knockout stages. But we begin today with what's becoming the biggest story of the last 16, which is Roy Keane's reaction to a particular moment on any given day. His non-reaction to, Gary Neville and Ian Wright celebrated an England goal went viral, and last night he wasn't happy about Brazil's celebrations in their 4-1 win over South Korea. Let's hear what he had to say.
I think that's really disrespecting the opposition.
What, because it's 4-0? Because they're doing it every time?
And they're doing it every time. I don't mind the first kind of jig, whatever they're doing, is doing after that, and then the manager getting involved with it. I'm not happy with it. I don't think it's good at all.
So Dan, what's your reaction to Roy Keane's reaction?
Well, what was that Conor Houlihan line that he missed Italian 90 because he was in Italy? I mean, am I now missing out an essential part of the World Cup 20 by being here, even though Roy Keane is obviously also here, but in the sort of exclusive corridors reserved for broadcasters. I mean, first of all, right, the Roy Keane video and his reaction to Harry Kane's goal is one of the most stupid viral videos I've ever seen in my entire life, because there's literally nothing remarkable about it in any possible way. There's nothing remarkable about it. It's like panel celebrate goal, man not from that country doesn't celebrate the goal, but because it's Roy Keane, like, this is incredible. Like, we saw Joey Indo last week running around the RTE studio while Kenny Cunningham had a look at him. I mean, if that had been Roy Keane, it would have been, look at Roy Keane's unimpressed reaction to Cameroon scoring a goal. I think he might have took a note in a professional manner. I mean, please, like,
that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with his reaction in the exactly the kind of no cheering in the press box. That's all he did. Like, it was very
preposterous.
Strange.
But then again, like, I mean, if it was like, Roy Keane eats a sandwich, right? I would condemn the fact it has 100,000 views, but possibly watch him eat the sandwich. I might just click it and look just in case. So, like, we're all complicit in this, right? We're all guilty of it. His reaction to Brazil, I mean, again, if you heard that Roy Keane had given a reaction to it, you told me earlier, off air, there was a Roy Keane reaction. At that point, I hadn't heard it. I clicked on it. I wasn't especially surprised by it. I actually did think when I saw the manager getting involved in the celebrations, I mean, here we go. It's like, Keane's not going to like that. You don't. I mean, there's a line that you cross. There's a line that obviously you don't cross here, and like, manager, joining celebrations is too far. But I don't know what your opinion is. I mean,
it's hard. Look, I think Dietmar Hamann had a similar kind of reaction to Keane on it, and like, look, I don't necessarily think it's Keane's fault, and I think his reaction is genuine, and it's kind of funny that a guy who seems so withering on social media is now so popular on it. I guess, like, I suppose in practical terms as well, from an Irish perspective, there's an awful lot of people who can't get ITV in Ireland. So, those pieces in Ireland where you can't get to see them, it's a bit of a throwback to the, Brady, Giles, Dunphy era, with Bill O'Herlihy obviously as well in there, kind of mixing it all up, where the panel discussion was kind of entertainment rather than necessarily analysis. And they came out with some mad stuff over the years, as we all know. And it's a little bit of a throwback to that. And like, for good or for bad, that entertainment side of it has kind of gone out of it a bit. Now Keane, the row with Souness seemed to be genuine enough. Like, I don't necessarily think they're hamming these things up. It's just the way he is, and that's why, be it Sky Sports, be it ITV, I'm sure if he'd be on RTE, if they could, if they'd pay him enough, I'm sure he'd be on RTE.
We'd all put a bit towards our license fee for that, would we?
Absolutely. I'd say a tenner increase in the license fee, and you can have Roy Keane, every time there's a Champions League match or an Ireland match, I think would be quite good value, actually. But it's a phenomenal thing. And I mean, Mark Ogden spoke about this the other day in terms of the traffic that Messi and Ronaldo and Neymar generate for ESPN worldwide. From an Irish website point of view, even a British website point of view, like the Roy Keane React stories they're a phenomenon in and of themselves, and people are interested. That's like, the audience is interested. So, like, it's not a like a blame thing or anything like that. It's really interesting within the. I mean, I used to write a column on Monday, and you could dissect Everton's defense with a better. You could actually, you'd put something together that is actually would be better than an Everton manager put together. It'd take you hours to do it, and nobody would read it. And you'd say, or else you could say, Roy Keane is X or Y, and you get loads of people reading it. And it's just one of those things. It's sort of one of these kind of things that just perpetuates itself. On the issue itself, Dan, what did you think on the issue itself? Go on, sorry.
We're broadening out into a wider thesis on media here, which is just just fascinating. I just want to say before we move on to the incident itself, right? Isn't it amazing that Roy Keane spent a good Roy Keane's been out of work as a full-time manager since Ipswich in 2011. I know he did major tournaments with ITV and stuff. But isn't it amazing he spent that long not as a pundit? You know what I mean? It's sort of where he is now. It's extraordinary. He hasn't been there all of the time, and maybe it feels like he has been in some way. What did I think of the incident? I mean, again, I mean, there's things that we'll celebrate in life, the Argentina celebrations I spoke about yesterday. Yeah, it looks a little bit, draining. When they win a game and it takes a lot out of them, but it's also part of the joy. It's part of their identity. It's what they do. Brazil team enjoying themselves. Major tournaments are a bit of a slog. People don't always get on. Roy Keane might be aware of that. If a team are sort of getting on with each other and even their manager, it's probably not a bad thing. It's not a sign of ill health in any way. I mean, the Bellingham-Henderson celebration, a bit more aggressive, maybe in its tone, but it was still a little bit, Jude Bellingham's tweeting about put some respect on Jordan Henderson's name. I mean, is the social media stuff, is that better then rather than just doing it on the pitch? I know the point is it's disrespectful to South Korea in some way. They didn't seem particularly disrespected by it afterwards.
No, but I do wonder, I went back and looked at the Brazil 7-1 hammering against Germany in 2014 when it was 5-0 after half an hour. And by the time the 5th and 6th and 7th goals went in, Germany were celebrating in a way that, the big team in a preseason friendly does when they're destroying an opposition, where the goal scorer sort of apologetically kind of puts his hand up and one player runs over kind of clapping his hands and pats him on the back. I do wonder whether, had Thomas Muller run over to Yogi Löw and started doing a little jig with him, how would David Luiz thought it was a great freedom of expression, or would Philippe Scolari have said nothing and just watched it? It is one of those things that, depending on the opposition you play against, I would expect if they were 4-0 up against Croatia and were jumping around the place at half time, that the first tackle in the second half might be quite a hard one.
I take your point, right? But I mean, the thing with the 2014 game, and I was very fortunate to be there, it wasn't Brazil's gaff. It wasn't their house. If Germany were 6-0 up at home to Brazil, I think they possibly would have celebrated those goals with more fervour. It was more, what have you done here? You've come in, you've taken everything from us. You've taken our TV, you've taken all of our possessions, and now you're celebrating on the way out. There came a point where they just decided they had to leave it. So I'm not sure that's an exact comparison. The Brazil games here are pretty much a home game for them. And the stadiums are sort of looking for sort of a little bit of magic from them. This is it. I had my own personal story in this game where I decided to travel during the first half so I'd see the second half, because the previous Brazil games had been scoreless at half time and they turned it on in the second half. I'm pretty sure I said in this show yesterday, I can't see Brazil doing it 3-0. I was right. They scored 4.
You were.
So the point is that there was this sort of carnival stuff towards the end of what was the game I was at, the Switzerland one, where Vinicius was doing little tricks and skills and stuff.
Yeah,
that's just how they express themselves. I just can't get angry about this. I just try and think very hard about how this might be bad. And I know, Keane obviously would be irate about that, but Keane would be more bothered than that, right? Be more bothered than that than Cristiano Ronaldo refusing to come on for Erik ten Hag, which is partly fine because he's a top player and he can get away with it. Here's the Roy Keane vortex here. What if Cristiano Ronaldo if Portugal somehow end up 3-0 against Switzerland tonight, and Ronaldo does a sort of an over-the-top celebration at 3-0 or 4-0, because Ronaldo, of course, is a big fan of the team ethic celebration. What will he do if they go 3 or 4-0 up? Will he sort of do something personal? Of course he will, but it's okay because he pays full respect to Roy Keane because he's a legend. Like, a man's going to have a code, right? And this is obviously the code that if you're obviously if Roy Keane's well disposed towards you, you're a bit of a legend that likes Roy Keane. You can do what you want. You don't even have to come on if your manager wants you to come on, and you can do a big interview with Piers Morgan, and because you're a special player. But these Brazilian players that you might know too well, and the manager's getting involved. Oh, that's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. I mean, come on.
Yeah. There is some talk that Ronaldo might not even start. We're getting big into reactions here, but Portuguese manager suggesting that he wasn't happy with his reaction to being substituted.
That's not very professional. I thought he was a top pro. Game. I thought he was a top pro.
This is it.
Roy Keane's told me this. He's a top pro. So, I mean, they can't have inappropriate stuff going on the sideline here. But Ronaldo's a top player, so he can get away with it. It's fine.
Yeah. We'll come on to Portugal later on. The game itself, Brazil, I mean, look, the game was over while you were on the bus, I guess. Alisson made some good saves. South Korea, put themselves, won the second half, as they say, in these things for what it's worth. It's very difficult to read anything into it other than how ruthless Brazil were in the first half, setting up a game against Croatia, who were a little bit less than ruthless, you might say, against Japan in the game you were at.
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, I wish Korea had parked the bus for a bit longer. But yeah, I've seen the goals, right? I mean, I've seen them in full flight. Like, I said it on the show. I didn't see them doing this. I didn't think they would open up that way, and they did. And from what I've seen, even Rafinha looked like he was exceptional as well. It looked like it wasn't just now. Okay, like South Korea, we did suspect, they sort of got a little bit of a backdoor route into the round of 16, maybe on form. Like, I think it would have been a different game with Uruguay, as you sort of suggested, maybe even Ghana. Neymar is back. They seem to want to keep him on for as long as possible as well. So, that's obviously a sign that they must feel, they want to give him getting the minutes under him. So they have sort of the strong front four there going on. It looks pretty good from their perspective. I'd have to fancy them to beat Croatia on the strength of what I've seen today. Japan just ran out of steam a bit. I think we possibly both thought that if the game went further, Japan would get stronger. But to be fair, I don't think that was the case. I think Croatia's sort of experience in certain situations, even if they took Modric off, I was writing about Modric, and took off Kovacic. Brozovic, very good. I think he's really underrated. I like him. He was excellent in the last World Cup as well. But they just managed to maintain a degree of control as the game went on, and wouldn't have been a scandal if they'd won it. But you can obviously see ways, Japan did unsettle them early on. They sort of ran around them a little bit, and even Modric was under a bit of pressure, and you can just see Brazil getting on top of it. I know it's dangerous to sort of write off Croatia. It's difficult because they, the last tournament, they got better as it went along almost. They scrambled past Denmark in the round of 16 that time on penalties, beat Russia on penalties, and then the England performance was actually, really good. I know they'd beaten Argentina in the groups, but I guess what I'm saying is that I just can't see on the form book how, on the strength of today, that you could fancy Croatia. No,
it's very difficult to see. The funny thing was that they had, as you said, they actually started exerting control. I guess, look, we both thought that the change that Japan would make would help them kind of run Croatia into the ground effectively. There's the old expression, the ball doesn't get tired, and I think that Croatia used that very well, where they did keep possession and got themselves a foothold in the game. The timing of their goal as well was just the boost that they needed. Look, as you said, they could have won it in 90 minutes, could have won it in 120, but it's hard to see them having, that element of control on the ball against Brazil, but equally hard to see them how they're going to cope with the various attacking threats that Brazil have.
Yeah, definitely. Gvardiol is the good player. The fullbacks, Juranovic, Barisic, I think he can cause them problems. Like and Brazil will, I think, like they'll fancy themselves in those scenarios. I suppose the thing is, like, I mean, Alisson did make some big saves. I know there's a slightly contrarian view around Brazil that Alisson sort of at key times kept them in it from. And again, I'm not going to claim that I saw the whole 45 minutes. I've told my story, but I still that's a little bit like the golfer who gets in off his round and sort of says, my score today was like 1 under, but I missed like 3 putts I should have got, should have been 4 under. Forgets to mention all the luck they had to be 1 under. It's the same thing. Like Alisson made 3 saves. I would have been 4-3 then. What a 4 all. Well, no. I mean, the pattern of play dictates chances that are created, and I think a team scoring 4 goals in one half, successfully sort of knifing through a team that number of times, has established a degree of dominance. But I think in the context of the tournament, right, and the games that we're looking at, it's great that actually all the teams have a little bit of a question mark around them. Like even the ones that have, like France, England, Brazil, even Holland to an extent, we're saying about all of them, Argentina as well. Teams can get at them. Of course you can. Like they're given the way opportunities. They're not flawless. It's actually like, where's the best defense here? Like where's the whole back four? Even France. But then they've conceded in every game they've played. Albeit a late penalty against Poland. But so like that's the joy of the sort of heavyweight quarterfinals that are building up. That. You have that little Brazil are like, they look good, but that little niggle is there to give you belief and encouragement. Even if Croatia, I'm sure will seize on that. And in fairness, they do have the players to pick a pass and pick up positions. I mean, Perisic's major tournament record is exceptional. So you can find an angle there to support
absolutely.
The belief.
And even like today's games, Spain were 20 minutes from going out if Costa Rica had held on. And today they play Morocco, and the feeling was that Spain were better off finishing second in that group so as they could get this fixture rather than facing Croatia. And we had a brief chat with Cape Verde defender Pico Lopes about the threat that the African side could pose to them today.
Morocco, Spain. I mean, Morocco have kind of been just really under the radar so far in the tournament, where, the focus was all on Belgium, and obviously they beat them, but the focus was on, Belgium, Croatia. Morocco obviously topped that group. Spain lost to Japan, drew with Germany. Like, if you like, on form in the tournament, Morocco are, arguably having momentum there that Spain don't. How do you see their chances?
I think they have a good chance. I think that probably as good as anyone. Again, look, Spain looked really good against Costa Rica, didn't they? And I thought they were really good against Germany as well, and probably just lack that sort of killer instincts or ruthlessness to finish off the game. And again, in Japan game, obviously being turned over like that. I think Morocco will be very strong. I think what we'll find as well, as the group is finished, teams will have to go and try and win the game. There's not another game to save them that's going on at the same time. It's knockout. It's why we love it. So I think we'll see attacking sides from Morocco, knowing that they'll have to get something out of the game if they want to progress. Obviously, Spain will dominate the ball. They'll look to dominate the ball, and it depends what they play. Will they play with number 9? Will they play with a false 9? They showed they can get goals against Costa Rica. They also showed they haven't got that ruthlessness when they need it. So it's a really interesting tie. I probably fancy Spain, but I wouldn't write Morocco off a lot.
Yeah, the Moroccan support will likely be probably outnumber Spain as well. That might make make it feel like a bit of a home game for them.
Yeah, definitely. The support is going to be huge over there in the stadium. And I think as well, as you said, they have that little bit of form. So the confidence will be high. They'll probably back themselves to nick a win against Spain. And look, we've seen some upsets already in the group stages. Like, what's to say there won't be another one in the knockout stages?
Absolutely. Pico, that's been great. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll hopefully speak to you again later in the tournament.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Aidan.
So, Dan, do you see it been similarly one-sided to some of the games that there's been so far, or do you think Morocco have been kind of unheralded really in this tournament so far against, coming in against Spain? They're coming in a little bit under the radar. They've got some, as you related to the other day, they've got some good players in their ranks.
Yeah, and I you know what? I'd say it's one of those where they're probably coming in the radar coming under the radar in the context of, I suppose, someone at home has been consuming all the games on TV. It doesn't quite feel that way out here because they've been such a big story. There's been a real buzz around Morocco and their fans and their games. And I think it feels like a bigger game here, Morocco v Spain, than it might do for someone looking at the TV schedule at home, if you know what I mean. And I can completely understand that. But I was just struck by this, when I was at the first Morocco game. I just looking at the squad list of their players. I made this point before, but you've got Hakimi from PSG, Mazraoui from Bayern, and that's your fullbacks. Okay, you got Roman Saiss there. I know he was at Wolves. He's Besiktas now. Aguerd from West Ham. Then you go for either side you got Ziyech and Boufal on the other side. He's playing in France, but probably well known from his time at Southampton. And Nesri from Sevilla as well. And they look through players in sort of Fiorentina, Sampdoria, a couple of clubs in England and Spain as well. The other players, they're playing at a good level and they're a good unit. Now, I have two feelings about this game. One, that it's going to be a great contest with Morocco. Morocco will be the favourites, as in the home crowd, right? Morocco are going to be it's a home game for them. The lack of travel from the European teams is a big talking point, and Spain traditionally don't bring many anyway, the same as France, and they're not getting the neutral support here that Brazil and Argentina are. Actually, England are picking up possibly a bit of it, but they're not. So there's two things that happen. One, Morocco just completely are almost look at Japan against Spain, and they try and bring that from the start. And the alternative scenario is that Spain just strangle the life out of it, and they do it way more efficiently than they did against Japan, in the sense that that's a little bit of a wake-up call for them, that they use the quality they have to get ahead, and they just manage it a whole lot better and try and sort of kill it. But the thing about Spain is, and why I think it's such an interesting game, I'm talking about Spain there, right? Just again, applying characteristics to a team and to a nation, right? But they are humans, and you're looking at 19-year-olds, to do that.
Yeah.
And looking for, say, Pedri and Gavi and Dani Olmo to do a Spain 2010 job. Yes, they may have the attributes to do that, but actually doing it is just another thing, And Morocco have a little bit more, the profile of their players is slightly older, in sort of certain positions. So they've sort of, they've been around the block a bit. So it's not set in stone, this one, for me. I don't know what you think.
No, I mean, you see the likes of Guardiola today, young player, and Rio Ferdinand was describing that during the half time in the game, saying he looked like a young player in the game. There's certain things that he was trying to do, he was almost trying to do it too much. And I guess that's the danger with some of the younger Spanish players. Look, you feel like a bit of a football charlatan when you're out in Spain sometimes, where you can almost feel like you're going to get cancelled if you kind of, pipe up and say, well, sorry, they only got 4 points out of the group and they were 20 minutes from going out. They hammered Costa Rica, they drew with Germany, and I have to say I thought it was relatively even, and they lost to Japan. So they haven't been massively impressive, in my opinion. There is a feeling, though, as you said, that little wake-up call, that a couple of teams have had it in this tournament where, Argentina against Saudi Arabia switched off for a few minutes, found themselves conceding a couple of goals. Spain against Japan, Germany against Japan. When it gets to this knockout stage, I think that wake-up call is going to be big for them today. I do fancy them to sneak it maybe 2-1, but I think today should hopefully be the closest fought of the 4 days of the last 16. And at this game in particular, with the atmosphere that's likely to be there, that it's going to be a great test for Spain. But I think it's one they might just come through. How about yourself?
I do fancy them to do it narrowly, I have to say. That's probably my feeling about what will happen. But I'd enjoy the other scenario, but I think it might just be Spain to do it. Again, I think if this is the price we have to pay for the round of 16, to get the quarterfinals we might want, then so be it. Now the other game, we have the Portugal-Switzerland situation here, where I think you'd like your Spain-Portugal clash, but I wouldn't be ruling out the Swiss either. I mean, I think. Sorry, that's not really an original point. I think a lot of people probably do respect Switzerland now. Like, I think you have to. Do you know what I mean? I don't think they're dismissed. They're dismissed in the way that they would have been maybe a year or two ago. And I'd have this tie very 50-50. I don't know what your thought would be.
Yeah, same. I mean, like the Fernando Sancho was the Portuguese manager. He was talking about the incident with Ronaldo coming off, and he said, like, I'm just quoting here, I saw the images, I didn't like it, not at all, I really didn't like it. And he suggested that he doesn't tell the players, the team, until they get to the ground, and that would be the same thing. And this has been kind of interpreted that Ronaldo might not start. That seems a very big stretch. I'm not sure he'd be brave enough to do that. So with him starting, he doesn't have anything to prove or anything. But again, it's a story about him, potentially in a story with a chance to play against Spain and just keep going with this phenomenal record he has. I think Switzerland will be very good. As I said, I thought Serbia would be the dark horse out of the competition. I thought whoever came out of that Brazil group with Brazil would be a big threat. And I think an extra time on this one, maybe with Portugal an extra time. That'd be kind of the way I'd be looking at it. Yeah,
I mean, I still probably do have a slight preference for Portugal on balance. Like the irony is about it is like that I think Mark Ogden actually made the point that like why it was one of the reasons he fancied Portugal is that in a way when you take Ronaldo out of the way, like they potentially have a very exciting team there, and he's still got a fair bit to offer, right? But I guess what I'm saying is like, João Felix has been in decent form here. Rafael Leao as well from Milan. And then you got Bruno who's been decent, Bernardo Silva. And like, you're just talking about, whatever options they go for in the sort of deeper line positions as well. Like, it's a pretty good team. And maybe it's more of a knockout side that just has the ability to sort of settle knockout ties with these players.
These moments, a bit like the way England did, They can produce moments of,
It's been a sort of a tournament for those teams that produce moments in a way, like in terms of how it's even panned out. Like even like Son bringing South Korea through the group stages, there's been moments like involving a lot of these bigger players, and I think maybe Portugal have more of them in their ranks, and in some ways, like the Ronaldo noise and Santos talking about it today. Like, I don't know, can it be a good distraction for some of the other players too? I don't know. Like, he absorbs a certain amount of it. Now, I'd be very skeptical about him in general, but maybe that's the glass half full taking the whole thing that there's this Ronaldo noise going on. But Portugal, the team, actually, I think they're overall, the overall manner in which they dealt with the Uruguay game was decent, like better than I thought they would be in the competition. And if they can probably bring that again, as much as there was a bit of VAR help towards the end of that game, maybe Portugal in 90.
Yeah. There's quite a lot of consensus in these predictions. Are we also, the fact you may not know this, been over in Qatar, but both games are on ITV today, so that probably means we're looking at a prediction of a Roy Keane reacting to something Ronaldo related that sort of might break the internet completely if it's Roy Keane and Ronaldo.
Well, he'd just be saying he's a top pro. I honestly don't think I don't think there's any scenario where like he's going to get Greek, because I think Roy Keane just sees a little bit of himself in Ronaldo in a sort of a fractious departure when your time at a club comes to an end. I think he identifies with Ronaldo. I mean, I know I've still been a bit facetious about it earlier on, but I do think that's where a big element of it comes from. It's you can meet someone on a level, and like Souness, they all sort of melt for Ronaldo a bit, because they sort of recognise a little bit of his swagger even if their swagger was carried in a slightly different way. It was sort of they meted it out in a slightly different way. But I mean, Keane and Ronaldo will be fine. I mean, what's the Morocco, Spain? I'm not sure what could happen. I mean, like if the Moroccans score a goal and have the temerity to like maybe celebrate it, and don't go through. we know what's coming.
Particular style of dance or something that might hurt them. Well, we'll see what happens anyway. Thanks for joining us in Indo World Cup. Watch us on YouTube or independent.ie or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks.